Welcome to another edition of the Will Be Blood Fight Show. I'm your host, Dave Duenas. Okay, just got done watching David Haye versus Monte Barrett. Also, Jeff Lacy versus Jermaine Taylor. Let's first go off with David Haye. What happened there? Okay, David Haye blows him out, gets rid of him. It was within 5 rounds. Finally caught up to him, dropped him twice, I believe, in the 3rd round, and then finally just caught up with him in the 5th round. You could really see that Monte was really overwhelmed and really kind of confused and cautious with the power and speed of David Haye. You could see that Haye just really didn't slow down moving up to a heavyweight, which was not a big deal for him, because he was draining himself to make cruiserweight to be the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, right? So he made a step up to heavyweight. This is the 2nd bout in the heavyweight, and he pretty much did exactly what I said he was going to do. It's just going to be too fast, too strong for Barrett. Barrett coming off of a win off of Ty Fields. The only problem, though, that I have with this particular fight, though, is it really still doesn't tell you a whole lot. Monte Barrett's not a very special fighter, first off, okay? Was he a good stepping stone to kind of introduce himself back into the heavyweight division? Of course. But does it now solidify him being a major threat to one of the Klitschko brothers? Not necessarily yet, okay? We still got questions to be answered with him stepping in with a much more bigger and really a more technical, sound fighter that's a lot more technically more sound than Monte Barrett. There's things, though, that really concern me about David Haye, of his fight style, that I could really honestly see Vladimir Klitschko would take advantage of. First off, David Haye first doesn't fight like a tall fighter. Okay, he likes to crouch down and stuff, and he brings that left hand down all the way past his hip and all that. And I understand he's got some speed and stuff, but with a much taller fighter like Vladimir, who's got a good, excellent jab, he'd be able to take advantage of those situations and kind of hold him at bay. Monte Barrett really was not fast enough, or really didn't, unfortunately, just didn't have the intelligence to take advantage of those little flaws that David Haye has, okay? The other thing, too, that I saw that Dave does a lot that I would like to see him kind of change up is that when he throws that right hand, he throws it with so much force, though. The problem is, though, he leads with his head, then he throws that right. Okay, that's really bad too, because what it does, you can time that, and it'll be easy to time with a good pure boxer like Klitschko, which was he'll either take a step back, double his left hook, or he'll just counter it with a straight right and catch him before he drops his right hand. Okay, so those little things there, I like to see him kind of correct. And really, like I said, Monte Barrett is not a good way of preparing yourself with one of the top 5 elite fighters in the heavyweight division, okay? Still like to see him kind of move up. I don't want to see him be rushed. I know they're talking about next year, possibly late in the year, they're fighting either one of the Klitschko brothers, more likely the younger brother, Vladimir Klitschko. But I think it'd be a rush fight for him. I think there's time. He's still young. He's a strong guy. And there's still plenty of time to learn in the heavyweight division. And really, like I said before, make it a mega fight. Why rush it and just kind of fall apart before you even get there, okay? And what I mean by that is, if you remember when Lennox Little Lewis had talked about Michael Grant, he had quoted he was a hurry and come up and leave type of fighter. What he was saying about Michael Grant was that Michael Grant was a big man, but he was in a hurry to get up to the point of a championship bout, and he was in a hurry to leave because he was destroyed and knocked out. I hate to see that happen to David Haye, because I can see that he could help out the sport a lot when it comes in terms of the heavyweight division, bring some excitement. But facing a Klitschko, a very technically sound fighter, I wouldn't want to see him get rushed. Okay, Jeff Lacy versus Jermaine Taylor. Let's get into that whole bout there. What happened? All right, I had made a prediction that, to be a unanimous decision for Jermaine Taylor. There could have been a possibility that he could have knocked him out or cut him, or, just been a little too fast, too strong for Jeff Lacy. I also said that there was a possibility Jeff Lacy could turn the fight around with one punch and, get a surprise upset by knocking out Jermaine Taylor. And it was really close, because he did drop Jermaine Taylor. It was a glancing blow, but the ref did call it a slip, all right? But let's really get into what Jermaine did for this bout. What did he improve? What did we see now at 168? Did we see a new and improved Jermaine Taylor and a more intelligent bludgeon fighter? I think so. Honestly, I saw something out of Jermaine that, was that he was a little bit more comfortable. He had a little bit better ring generalship. His speed obviously was still there, but his jab too, he was able to bring back his jab, and his jab was really the big telling of the bout. He had great ring generalship with that jab. He really did keep Jeff kind of confused on that jab. He had Jeff really kept him at the end of his punches, kept him at bay, and was able to really dictate in what he needed to do to kind of rack up the points to defeat Jeff Lacy. The problem was, though, that Jermaine still has the tendency of walking himself back to the ropes where he can get himself in danger. And that's where Jeff Lacy was able to have some moments in the bout. Not a whole lot, but he did have some moments in the bout. Now, there was something, though, that Emmanuel Stewart said during the, commentating during the fight that I didn't agree with at all. He had mentioned that Jermaine Taylor was holding a lot more in the later rounds, and it might have been due to stamina problems, right? Well, honestly, how I saw it was a great fight plan what he was doing. He knew that Jeff Lacy's great chance of upsetting Taylor was by getting in the inside, since he's the much shorter, stockier, and short-arm fighter, okay? So what he did is he would just jab, throw a straight right, hook, or sometimes even throw that right uppercut that I saw that was new to his arsenal. But after he would be done with his combinations and flurries, what he would do is he would tie up Jeff Lacy and not allow him to get in those inside body shots or hooks or try to do damage in the inside in the middle of the rounds, okay? To me, that was a great fight plan. Just because the fact that, that's a way to kind of neutralize a much shorter, stockier, strong fighter, is take that all away from him. Holyfield was able to do that with Mike Tyson, and that is a great, great fight plan to use against an aggressive, stockier fighter. All right, so I thought that was good. I thought he used it effectively. I thought that was the way to defeat Jeff Lacy. I also thought that, the volume of punches that he threw in the bout was good. I mean, he looked crisp through the whole 1 to 12 rounds, okay? It didn't look like he did tire up out at all. And when he did hold, effectively. He wasn't aggressively trying to hold on to him, cling on. He tried to conserve his energy, and that was a great way of seeing. If you watch it again, it wasn't like he was, struggling and holding him and wrestling him. He would just tie him up, naturally just hold him and stuff, and he looked comfortable and calm at 168. Now, this is the whole thing, though, is they mentioned Joe Calzaghe. Remember this, just like Monte Barrett defeating Ty Fields, do not let this mislead you into thinking that Jermaine Taylor is ready for Joe Calzaghe. By far, he's not ready yet. He needs a few more bouts. That was one of the things that I agreed with Emmanuel Stewart when he had said, I'd like to see him try to face other contenders that are out there at 168. The pool of contenders that are in the 168, believe me, there's a lot of guys swimming in that pool. So there's not a shortage of fighters for him to pick out and try to test himself at 168. Jeff Lacy still was a shell of himself. He still was not back, unfortunately. And if he had any chance of being back, he didn't show it tonight, right? So who's out there for him? Really, honestly, he's got some good picks. I like to see him, maybe call out Mikkel Kessler, and I would still say Mikkel Kessler might be a little bit too big of a test for him too, okay? Also, there's Carl Froch, who's a good fighter too, undefeated fighter. You have Lucien Butte, who also is an undefeated fighter that he can test himself against, and then he's got Andrade too. His stocks kind of rose up with the loss against Butte. There's some good fights out there for him too. Now, let's just say he doesn't want any of those fights, but he's looking for a big fight. Well, Joe Calzaghe obviously would be a big major fight. The problem is Joe Calzaghe, though, wouldn't be looking at Jermaine Taylor. The reason is because the money that he's been getting used to now with Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones and stuff is, would he really get the money that he'd be asking for facing Jermaine Taylor? Is it going to generate enough money and interest for a guy like Jermaine Taylor, who really, honestly, is just on his comeback road? Do you think he'd be ready to face the man out of Wales? I don't think so. I think that'd be a bad pick for him and for Lou DiBella right now at this particular moment. If anything, if they did want another big mega fight out there for him for a pay-per-view buy, I think there's one name out there that I can think of, and really, it's an interesting matchup if they did face off again. It's not Bernard Hopkins, it's Winky Wright. Remember, there was to a draw. Half the community of boxing fans were saying that Winky won, and the other half was saying that Jermaine won. I was one of the half that was on the other side of the fence with Jermaine, saying that he had won that fight. But it's still, you know, it's a good argument that you can have at a bar, barbershop, or whatever the case is. You know, you can have those arguments about who won that fight, and that smoke can be cleared on a rematch if they did decide to face each other and consider that a big fight for the both of them. And really, that would really be considered the comeback fight for both of them, because since Winky has been inactive for some time now, and Jermaine looking to stay active and still looking to kind of get himself back into the championship limelight like he's talking about, that's the fight I think he should be looking for. If not, face one of the other 168, which I think would be a better road, because it would prepare him, honestly, to try to go after Joe Calzaghe if he does not retire, decides to wait around for either Jermaine or Chad Dawson or Bernard Hopkins, right?